Good morning, everyone. It is currently Saturday morning at 6:26 in the morning. I am looking like a hot mess, but I feel amazing. I got so much sleep that I've been up since 4 a.m. this morning. It is a Saturday morning, so luckily I don't have to be on any kind of schedule of having my child in school this morning. But I wanted to record a video. As you can see, the title of this video might fit a lot of you watching. And I just kind of want to talk about a couple of my own personal experiences and kind of what I'm doing to try to not be a hot mess. Especially so I can get more content out to you guys. So let's kind of rewind. Let's see, it's currently February 8th that I'm recording this, live in my favorite city in all of the United States, Austin, Texas. Very proud to live here. I've been living here for over 20 something years, and it still feels like a college town. But anyways, so I'm still kind of drinking my coffee and trying to wake up. But one of the things I've been wanting to do is record more when I'm calm. Usually before I'm caffeinated, but like once my day gets going, I quickly kind of switch into my masculine energy, and I have to because I'm a gig worker right now. And right now, I don't know if I have a real estate career anymore. As you probably have noticed in the last 4 years, real estate's a hot mess, and it's been a hot mess since 2020. I feel like it's just going into even more of a downward spiral of a hot mess. That is a whole nother video of all of the massive changes that have been happening to specifically the world of real estate that has sort of forced me out, at least temporarily. And part of my current hot mess is trying to make amends, trying to make ends meet with gig work. And that is the biggest hot mess right now because I am all over the place with gig work. Let's just go over a couple things. Uber and Lyft, I have been doing for almost 10 years on and off in between jobs. And I'm only recently starting to dig into Instacart. So I'm in my 4th week of Instacart. I just started doing Uber Eats this week. I started doing DoorDash again this week after a year and a half. I'm on with Favor, who's owned by HEB, so it's only in Texas. But I haven't done a Favor yet. I'm on the wait list for Amazon Flex again because when they sent me the email, I missed it. When I don't check my email, like my personal email gets flooded with junk. I'm constantly unsubscribing like multiple times a year. I go through my Gmail, the one account I've had like forever. It's also the same email address I use for job offers. Put your email address on your resume. So I'm not trying to change it. It's where all my bill notifications go into, even though everything is automatically paid out of my checking except for my rent. But I just, I miss the Amazon Flex. And what happens is when I clicked on it, it said, sorry, you've missed the deadline or something. I think it was like, it gives you a week to click on it. So I went back on the wait list. And the only reason I want to do Amazon Flex is it's really just to keep adding more of the gig work options to my resume, my new resume. just because as these gig apps get saturated, I want to keep moving up, doing the things or having just more options for income, right? So I'm on the wait list for Amazon Flex, Spark. I was on with Spark, but I guess you get deactivated if you haven't done a Spark, which is owned by Walmart. So I got back on the wait list. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to sign up for that one. I'm on the wait list for Curry, Curri, and I'm on the wait list for Shipped, which is owned by UPS. So I'm on those wait lists more for the courier type. I do have a full-size SUV. I drive a 7-seater Highlander. So I have a lot of trunk space. And if I could, just like an Uber XL, if I could boost my income with taking a larger payout because I have a larger vehicle, it can be a game changer. If you're getting even one obsessively unnormal payout per day, it can really, like, overall for the week, can boost your income. So definitely don't advise that you go out and get an SUV. Please don't go out and get an SUV for gig work. Just don't do it. Because the majority of even Uber rides these days, Lyft rides, I see more shared rides in, late 2024 to 2025, even for people who are going to work. Like, people are really trying to cut back. And Uber share is going to be Uber share or Lyft share. I don't even think Lyft does share, but shared ride is going to be the number one way. So everything is a hot mess in my life because I really don't have a grasp on Uber Eats and DoorDash. I have to get my acceptance rate up. On top of that, I have personal life things that I'm trying to take care of, things that are constantly popping up. And here's one of them. I woke up at 4:00 this morning. For the record, I went to bed at 9, but for the record, I literally fell asleep on the couch from like 7:00 to 8:30. Yeah. I was stressed because yesterday on a Friday, I only made $30, about $35 doing Uber Eats because they kept pulling me. I'm trying to get my acceptance rate up. They kept pulling me just a couple of times into, 16 miles for a delivery. 18 miles for someone wanting their Krispy Kreme donuts out in freaking Leander. For any of y'all watching this using DoorDash or Uber Eats, please support your local businesses. Just do it. Find a donut shop near you to order from. The people that are having to take these deliveries, I'm struggling. If anything, I'm trying to get my acceptance rate up. So I'm trying to accept everything, but I can't do it every day or I won't make any money. But the hot mess of being a gig worker is the constant shift of, I'm not making any money with this app, so you want to switch to doing something else. And that is like the blessing and the curse of gig work and being on to do so many things. There are times when I know Instacart is going to be the best and I've got the energy for it. There are going to be times when Uber Eats and DoorDash is going to be the best. And then once March rolls back around and South by Southwest starts up here in Austin, that is going to be more of my bread and butter for rides, with airport rides, people trying to get around town, especially during the week when my kid is, especially for not for spring break, but when he's in school, there's going to be a lot more activity with South by Southwest just during the week. People are coming from all over the world to come to South by, and there's also workers that are coming here. So pretty much the entire month of March is extra busy. But yeah, it's trying to figure out where your time is best spent to maximize your income, especially when you're driving a 7-seater SUV. That is obviously a car that I chose not intending to do gig work. But I've been up since 4 o'clock. I've had a lot of great sleep. And of course, I had like the nap before. It's just, I was so stressed and so exhausted from getting in and out of the car. Yesterday was also the first time I tried to do tried to do gig work with my son in the car, and doing food delivery, not grocery. Food delivery is going to be the only way to do it. I have him tethered to my phone. I have unlimited data on my Mint Mobile, even though I guess you only have like a certain limit on your hotspot. And now I feel like I have to look into this. But he has an iPad. He's happy as long as he's got the iPad. And it's a quick in and out. And now I'm trying to maximize work, not working all the time, but I've been sitting here kind of like, I need a visual. This is why I was an art major. I need a visual of like the potential that I have to work. And I did this. So I've always had this designed, and I actually have it on my website, my regular website, although I'm starting to slowly put some of my digital products on my beacons. I'm trying to test if I want to just stick with beacons, kind of like a stand store, or if you guys actually prefer a full-blown website. But I created basically this printable. It's called, let me just show you really quick. It's called My Perfect Schedule. It printed off a little bit, so it kind of printed too high. I think it caught the paper a little bit. But now this is not my perfect schedule. It's really just a way to kind of create my own schedule from the world of gig work. Except here's the problem. When you're doing gig work and you're trying to do content creation, it's just like a 9-to-5 job. You are going to have to go work during peak times to make your money. So even though it's called My Perfect Schedule, it's really not my perfect schedule. My perfect schedule would actually be me being able to wake up at like 4 a.m., have some slow wake up time until 6, get my kid up at 6, make breakfast, make coffee, take him to school at 7:30, and then come home and have until about noon to do some self-care, of course, content creation, recording more video, time to edit, time to design, where my brain power is going to myself first, okay? Then go do the gig work. Now, in order to do this perfect schedule for me, the one that I want, I'm gonna have to get in the car with my child more. I don't want to do it every day, but again, this is the hot mess of gig work. This is what's making my life a hot mess. I have no consistent schedule, especially right now that I'm having like full dedicated days to maybe just Uber Eats and DoorDash to get my ratings up, while I'm trying to also get to the Instacart Diamond shopper status. I don't know if it's really real that if I get to, Uber Pro and Dash, whatever they have. Anyways, I don't know if getting to all these top levels is really going to make me more money, but if anything, it's going to probably give me more opportunity of seeing orders. And that is going to equal more money. So my hot mess is, do I or do I not put my kid back in after school care so that I can effectively work the afternoon? The problem with that is, right now I love picking my kid up from school. I've been doing this since I was laid off in August 2022. If you want to see more layoff videos, go check out the other videos on my channel. But, I love picking him up from school. He's 7. He's about to be 8. I love that. Like, I've always dreamt that I would be the mom picking my kid up from school, that he wouldn't be walking home by himself or staying home by himself. I see a lot of really young kids walking home by themselves. And even though it is what it is, like maybe some kids were, kind of built at an earlier age to be stronger and be left alone, I I don't want that for my son, or to be riding a bus, at least until he's older, right? And the downfall is if I put him in after school care, that's now more money I have to make. But according to everybody, and according to what I know about Uber driving and Lyft driving, it starts to ramp up again around 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., at least here in Austin. And that's usually as people are getting off of work of these really early shifts, going home early, leaving early to go to doctor's appointments or maybe pick up their car. At least with Uber driving, how many times I've had to like turn off the app, but I've seen like good rides because people need to get home. It's across town, but I have to stop at some point to pick up my kid from school. So far with Uber Eats and DoorDash, I tried to do this yesterday between 3 and 5, and I was just in traffic, y'all. Like, I didn't think it was worth it. So I'd like to have some free time in in the afternoon, more for driving, not really even for Uber Eats. But so my schedule is a hot mess because I'm trying to figure out my schedule. I'm trying to work and pivot. That's the one thing with gig work. I will honestly tell you, don't quit your job for gig work. I'm actually trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to give myself, the first few hours of the day to not just do content creation, but to also dedicate that time to really, really looking for a job again, preferably in hard money lending. This is where I strive, thrive. It's hard money lending. It's working with investors. That is just what I prefer. Or if I can get a job in title, I would love to work in title. I love the difficult situations that kind of pop up with mortgage and title. I love problem solving, right? This is just me. I love problem solving. I love a lot of problem solving, can also be very creative. And in real estate, sometimes it's even strategic. People have to strategically, creatively do certain things to be able to acquire a piece of real estate. And I worked in hard money lending for 2 years, since 2020, because of course I've been laid off since August 2022. But I still, I don't desire to be a realtor. I don't desire to be in property management again, although I know a lot about property management, landlord-tenant law. I've been a property manager. I sued a landlord in California a long time ago, and I've been a leasing agent a million times over, but I still have such a passion for hard money lending and working with investors, working with people who know the game, understand, data. They're not emotionally tied to the property. And of course, even just the remodeling construction side of things, going through that process with them and really kind of holding hands, especially with newbies. And if anything, I am so happy when someone is acquiring a piece of real estate as their first investment property to build wealth, because as you know, real estate has usually been the number one reason to build wealth. But also now, these days, you're competing with these major corporations, these hedge funds that are just throwing cash at these owners. And of course, let's not even get into the floods and the fires and the things that have been happening in the last year that are just going to have land up for grabs. And the only way to have that kind of money is going to be with those big companies that we don't like, BlackRock. But for families, individual investors, people that want to be more the mom and pop investors in this business, that's who I desire to work with. Real people. People that, yes, buying or losing that piece of real estate is going to affect their income, their building wealth, but not some big major company. And still trying to clear my throat this morning, sorry. So I'm going to have to go a very old school way of finding a job. especially there are so many little hard money lenders around the globe that I'm just going to have to go Google. I'm going to have to start Googling these companies, going directly to their website. Hopefully they have a career section, or just sending an email and really putting myself out there. I don't trust LinkedIn anymore. I'm sorry. I just don't. I am getting so many random text messages, random emails from all of these recruiters that aren't even here in the United States. And I'm just sitting here like, I know they're getting my information from LinkedIn. That's the only way. And I'm not even applying for jobs on LinkedIn. Like, I haven't even applied for a job on LinkedIn. I applied for one only because it was one of the hard money lenders here in Austin, that I have been trying to work for. And, you know, it's like part of me even just wants to get all dressed up in my blazer again and just walk into this office. Like, just walk in and put myself out there the way that I used to have to get jobs back in, 15, 20 years ago. Of course, I've been a bartender. I've also been a server in my life. So yeah, even with, that type of industry, you walk in, and even if they're not hiring, you're presenting yourself in front of people, and they see you and they hear you and they've met you. They've developed at least a 5-minute rapport with you, so that if in a couple weeks they need somebody, they're going to remember you. They're going to remember you over someone who just called or just emailed, because you weren't putting yourself in front of that person. So, even working again for a real estate developer would be great. If I had to work in corporate America as like a corporate job, I would want to work again for a real estate developer, as I have in the past. I've worked for 2 real estate developers, and at both companies, I was directly under a high executive. So I was the executive assistant for senior VP of Douglas Emmett in Santa Monica. And I was the personal property manager and second secretary of a partner of a real estate developer. So I managed all of his personally owned pieces of real estate, his houses, his condos, and his privately owned commercial buildings and residential buildings. But I was also his second secretary. So I helped do all the things with his first secretary that had been with him for, like 20 something years. And I love working under the direct, like, higher executives. I feel like I've got the kind of personality that is flexible with somebody that's rigid. But actually, I've worked for rigid bosses. And of course, if you're too rigid, it's just not going to work. But I enjoy, I understand like some bosses have to be like that rigid personality because they have to be really strong. They have to be stoic. They can't be too friendly, but they kind of need an outlet. And sometimes it's their assistant. It's like, they'll be cool with the assistant, but they're going to be, because their assistant is supposed to be a reflection of another version of them, right? That's kind of how I feel. I've had a lot of assistant positions. And that is what I do. I go into a job and I pretty much am like, how do you like things done? How do you want things done? Because if they're not getting that done, I want to help them figure out, okay, how can we implement more of this? And a lot of times it is just so much for these higher executives. They're already making big company decisions. The last thing they can deal with are like the smaller big company decisions. And so they would literally pass that on to somebody like me who can take care of the big decisions on a small scale while they have more energy and time for the bigger items. I guess you could say bigger, more important, life-changing decisions for the company. And it's like allocating things. So but I love it. Like, I love the difficult situations. It's kind of also why, even though I feel like my life is a hot mess with gig work, I am always trying to analyze myself, my days. I'm doing a little bit of biohacking. In a perfect world, there's 2 weeks out of the month that most women are completely full of energy. It's ovulation. There's a reason. completely full of energy, and I'm trying to harness that energy and capitalize on that energy, because then when my moon cycle comes, I am so depleted of energy. I have low energy. I'm not going to be peppity, I'm not going to have a pep in my step as much. And I'm going to be a little bit more like I am when I first wake up. Like I'm groggy, a little bit of groggy, kind of quiet. So everything is a hot mess. And the weird part is, part of me craves routine again, the routine of going to a job. But the other part of me, this is why I like the gig work, because you can choose to go work whenever you see fit. Yesterday, I wanted to keep going, but I know myself enough that if I'm having a bad gig work day, I just go home. I don't keep trying. I just go home and I chill out. And always when I wake up the next day, I become like, I am not going to let this get the best of me. I'm not going to become sad and depressed and mostly pissed off, honestly. And this is where I kind of go to work. I just found out a couple weeks ago that in the human design profile, I'm a generator. And I honestly think I'm a manifesting generator, but I haven't done enough. I haven't dug deep enough to figure out if I'm a manifesting generator or just a generator. But the one thing I can tell you that I know about myself, I'm a Pisces. I'm a yin and the yang. I need a balance of everything. I like a little routine. There are certain parts of my day I like to be a routine. There's other parts of my day, the creative energy in me, that I don't want it to be routine, because if I'm feeling inspired, I want to just do it. If I'm feeling tired, I just want to go home. If I'm feeling energy and I want to get out and do more gig work, I just want to do it. So if you're resonating with any of this, please comment below. I want to know if there's anyone that, it's just, you just kind of feel like a hot mess. You're constantly confused about, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do on this planet? What are you supposed to do with this YouTube channel? Another random thought. So when I woke up this morning, I just kind of told you about how yesterday was really frustrating for me, and I slept for like an hour and a half in the early evening. And so the first thing that I notice sometimes that happens the next day, when I'm just kind of ready to, it's a new day. I'm excited. It's a new day. How am I going to start this off with a bang? I feel compelled to organize, clean. Okay. And you may or may not have heard, but usually your clutter is a direct correlation to how you feel inside. People who are messy versus people who are organized, I don't know. There's a lot to be said about that. And I mean, I definitely feel like I could declutter even more. I finally got rid of my storage at the end of October 2024, and that took me about a year and a half. I'll tell you about that story in another video, but man, it felt so good to get rid of the storage, to declutter, but I had to bring a lot of those things back into my apartment. So I woke up this morning and I was like, I opened my laundry room, is the beast. I don't even use it for laundry, y'all. It's pantry, it's storage, it's where my trash cans are. But let me just show you what I have out already. I pulled everything out, but I also know I need to go vacuum sweep inside, and I wasn't going to do that at 4:00 in the morning with my son still sleeping and God, whoever else I might be waking up. But just look at this. You ready? Pulled out my trash cans. I've got that to donate. That's a little rack I put stuff on. I've pulled out stuff. I have my laundry room door open. I've pulled stuff out on the counter. And it finally just bothered me that I had my trash cans on one side of that laundry room, and it just felt like I was going around my door. I'm going to rearrange things again. And I've got some items sitting here that I need to photograph and list for sale. So I'm staring at that every day. And this is what clutter does. It's a hot mess of your stuff, but clutter can also happen in your personal life. It can happen internally, it can happen mentally. Yeah, I have so much to say about like leaning into minimalism, and I had even started a second YouTube channel called Becoming Minimalish, and I've only posted one video. And I really, like, again, trying to find time to do all these things that I want to do, but also trying to organize my own life to declutter so much of this hot mess and get some sort of income consistency so that I can actually have time to do all of these other things. So I know this video is getting long, but yeah, so I've been organizing this morning. I think I uploaded this on my personal website. I will put the link in the description. I have several versions of this. I have the one with the time inserted in, which of course I have starting at 4 a.m. And some that are just blank. And then I have a Sunday start and then a Monday start, just in case some of y'all like to start your schedules on a Monday. This was really just my gig schedule. This is not my perfect schedule, but again, it's like I sat here and I'm like, Instacart, DoorDash, which is supposed to be red, but I used hot pink, Uber Eats, and Favor. But I didn't get to employ all of them because really what's different, the Instacart is what is like solidly different than DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Favor. And I didn't even incorporate like regular Uber driving. So this was just like a rough draft of really everything that's not driving that I'd like to do right now. But I have used this several times to help organize, like even just put my dream schedule. You know, I do have another version of this where it does have that dream schedule of having time to myself for content creation and self-care and even errands or cooking a meal until 12 p.m. and then going to expel the rest of my physical and mental energy on, it's not easy work, but I would call it dumb work. Because trying to do the opposite is the hot mess. It's, you know, this gig work stuff is, you know, it's the new 9 to 5. It's the new 9 to 5 trap. It's the gig work trap. It's having to be in and out of doing gig work at all these different hours of the day just to maximize your time and income. It's having to multi-app. It's, you know, I constantly feel frazzled, and I'm trying to get out of that feeling of just feeling like I'm not just expelling all of my masculine energy into gig work. I need to use some of it for content creation. I need to use some of it for my own self-care, my son. Like, I can't expel all my energy just doing gig work and leave myself depleted, is basically my point. So I will put the link in the description so that you can download that. And then the other thing that I tend to do just to kind of get myself a little unstuck, a little unhot mess, is I'm actually a half digital, half paper type of planner. So just to kind of give you an idea, I use a little bit of Apple reminders. Just look at my to-do. That does include a running to-do list, which is like, I'm constantly adding to this list. It'll go down, it'll go back up to 90 things. Like, it's insane. And when I really feel like, oh gosh, I can't even like I can't even look at that. Oh, when I even feel frazzled, that like just looking at Apple reminders is driving me nuts, I will actually pull out paper. Sometimes it'll just be a post-it note and I'll just write one or two things that I have to do that day, because if I see everything else, my mind will go straight to the things that are easy. Sometimes though, I just need to have it in front of me where I can physically grab it whenever I want to. And again, this is where I thrive, y'all. Like graphic, this is where I design my own planner inserts and printables. And I do a lot of this for myself. But then, and that's how I started my planner shop back in 2022, is I started creating my own planner inserts and I threw it up on Etsy, and I was like, well, if I'm creating this stuff for me, might as well just throw it up on Etsy. And then that's how I started my Etsy shop. It's crazy. So one of the things I did create is like just basically, it's now called focus blocks, but for years, y'all, before anyone was talking about focus blocks or grouping like items together, I was already doing this. And of course, as I've gotten into productivity the last couple of years, productivity hacks mostly, yes, I started realizing, oh, there's terminology for this. So I call this the all-in-one list, and it'll just come blank like this. And I'm not even, as I'm recording this video, I'm not even done creating this. So when I am done, I will put the link in this description. But when I design an insert or printable, I actually use it for a little bit to make sure, like the line spacing. Now, I will have like 3 different versions of this. I'm liking, like for people with big handwriting, you might want the one like this. I'm going to have another version in this bundle where you're going to have more of like the college rule, and then more of the wide rule, and then of course that extra wide rule that I showed you. So if you feel like you could use anything to get you organized, a lot of times it does not have to be a big fat planner. I will admit, sometimes planners have worked for me, and I still have my planners, my disc planners. Sometimes they work for me and sometimes they just don't. It's like when you have been doing the same routine and you need something different. I've even had times when I just pull out a post-it note. Seriously, use my wall. I write one thing on each post-it note and you see it. Like you really see it. I do it in a black Sharpie marker, the thick kind, It's that boldness of the Sharpie marker sometimes on a piece of paper or a post-it note that really gets your attention. And I switch it up. I switch it up a lot because sometimes it's what works. You've got to find what works. And sometimes it's what is going to work in the moment for you to get motivated or that boost or whatever to get the thing done so that you're not a hot mess. So yeah. Again, I would say at the end of this message, feeling when you're a hot mess is a combination of resting in the moment. And then once you feel rested, start writing it down. Start writing down, okay, what do I need to do to not feel like a hot mess? For some of y'all, it might be you need to do that self-care. Maybe you haven't washed your hair in a few days. Maybe you haven't done a manicure and your polish is chipping, and you're just going to feel beautiful and so much better to not actually feel like a hot mess. For some of y'all, it's going to be like me. Like I'm up. I haven't even done my skincare routine. I'm literally about to I should normally do this at night. I'm not perfect, but I was so tired, obviously. I just told you I slept for an hour and a half in the middle of the evening. And then I woke up for 30 minutes and then I went to sleep at 9. So doing my double oil cleansing, which I make this myself. But then when I woke up this morning and I have that natural energy, yeah, I was like, I'm doing this. I just need to see from afar. Like this one was, what are all the days available that I could work? And then that's when I did this. It's not my perfect schedule. This is just like, what are all the available times that I could work so I can see that from afar? And then here I am writing down everything. And this little chunk this is what I need to do for the weekend. And what I'm actually doing is going through my little to-do list on my Apple reminders, and I'm pulling things out. Because some of it, when I put things in my Apple reminders, some of it is just really a note and I just have to reorganize it. But a lot of things get pushed down. And this is why I also like it on digital, because when I'm in the car in between gig work, I can kind of scroll through that and then realize, oh, I kept pushing this one item down, down, down. Oh, it's been 2 years and I still haven't gotten my new Social Security card because I lost it. I lost my original, the one I've had since I signed it when I was really little, with my little cute signature. I still can't find it till this day, so I need to order another one in case someone says, I need to see your Social Security card. So yeah, anyways, I'm mumbling. Have a good day. It's Saturday morning as I record this, and God bless, and get out of your hot mess.